So if you've never been to the SCMH before, you go to IAQG.org. There's several links at the top, but this is considered an IAQG tool, so you can click on that, or just SCMH at the top, and it will take you right to the Supply Chain Management Handbook, which is electronic. It's not a physical printable item. You can print pieces of it, of course, but you wouldn't be able to hit a button and print the whole thing. Although we always discuss how we might do that in the future. Once you're into the book, there I did it. Once you're into the SCMH website, you can go through several guidance topics, which is the plan and manage, design and develop, make, buy, deliver, and customer support. Those are hot links along with the ones going across. And you'll open up to all the topics within that particular supply chain process life cycle. Once opened, you can see core guidance. Kind of the overview tells you all about the material. Some of the all the details would be in there. And then on to the right would be a toolbox. You might find questionnaires, survey type templates, and checklists and Excel sheets to help you with the project that you can download, put your own logo on as a member of the supply chain, and use it within your company. Okay, Gail, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Sue. So my name is Gail Leboire, and I work for Ariane Group in the quality department. I'm the European leader in the PSCI board. PSCI means Product and Supply Chain Improvement, which is the IAQG branch in charge of the SCMH. So I was a sponsor of this competency management guidance, so that's why I'm here as presenter. So the intent of this webinar is to assist the, so next slide, please. Sue? Yeah, thank you. Intent of this webinar is to assist the understanding of the guidance available in the SCMH website. The objective is to suggest a methodology to answer to the Chapter 7.2 competence of the Standard 9100. I invite you to consult also the Aerospace Improvement Maturity Model tool called AIMM, which is available in IAQG website and which gives also other clues. So why do we focus on competence management? It's because competency is one pillar to secure quality of our deliverables. It prevents the risk of escape, the product safety issues, and cost of bad quality due to the lack of competence or maturity of skills. Next slide, please. So the traditional way to manage competency consists in listing each employee's skills and competence in order to identify training needs, to get the relevant qualifications, and to maintain it. This PDCA loop supports competence improvement, but it gives an individual vision and not the overview of the skills available in the sectors. Next. Yes. So the first suggestion is to define the body of knowledge. For that, the advice is to, next slide, please. For that, the advice is to determine per field the professions. For instance, in the field of quality, you can have auditor or program quality manager. And for a dedicated profession to list the required skills and knowledge and to conclude with the personal attributes. The second suggestion is to add a new dimension, the idea of competency levels. The guidance, next slide, please. The guidance 7.13.2 gives the examples of 5 levels, from basic to expert, and the associated criteria. The aim is to evaluate the maturity of skills, because you won't ask the same task from a beginner as from an expert. So the document 7.13.3 competence management templates provides an example of a body of knowledge template that could be used for an individual or a team of individuals as a management tools. The picture on the right is the example of auditors' bodies of knowledge with the descriptions of what is expected for the knowledge and the skills and the required level of maturity for such roles. But in order to go deeper, the third suggestion is to implement a proactive management of competencies. Indeed, the body of knowledge availability at the right level leads to ensure the customer satisfaction. But acquiring robust competencies takes time. So a proactive management involves to anticipate evolutions such as demographic, technological, industrials, and to consider numerous external factors. Hence, the industrial will be able to adapt quickly to market changes. So based on the analysis of the skills level of each employee, the line manager can build the team maturity skills. In the example here, for the profession auditor, we have person A, person B, person C with their maturity for each knowledge and skills on the left. And on the right, we have the team maturity skills matrix. Such matrix can identify any gaps or a limited number of persons with a specific skills. The line manager has considered the number of persons in each skills maturity levels. And as you can see here, for the aviation regulations, the line manager is able to identify that he has only one person who knows the aviation regulations and which is considered as a specialist. So the line manager highlights the risk to lose the knowledge on the aviation regulations if the person C the person C that you can see on the right, on the left, leaves the company. Next slide. Moreover, by assessing the employee ages, the distributions of employee per domain, the turnover, the time required to develop competence, and the individual skills development plans, the line manager can forecast team competence in a relevant time frame. For instance, here, the person C was clearly identified as expert. If you come back to the previous slide, please, Sue. The person C, as you can see, has the level 5 or 4. So he was identified as the expert and specialist for the main skills and knowledge. Next slide, please. So in the situation in which that person C retires and a person D who was considered as specialist on the 9,100 requirements moves to a new position, the line manager is able to raise an assumptions 1 and evaluate what could be the team maturity skills matrix in 3 years. Here we consider that N is 3. He will not only lose the aviation regulations knowledge, but also the expert and specialist levels. Person B, C, and D leaving. He has no one in expert level nor in specialist levels. So he may lose expertise, he doesn't implement action plan. But what we can see also in this example is that for the 9,100 requirements, the line manager has considered that the basic and capable employee can reach the proficiency level in 3 years in this topic. So after performing such assessment, the second step to the proactive management is to define the required competencies. For that, we suggest to consider the project phase planning. Indeed, here we have the IAQG process with its 5 phases. And as you can see on the bottom, the tasks differ from each phases. And so the required competence change from one phase to the other. So I give the floor now to Dave, my co-presenter.
Hello, everyone. This is Dave Donovan. I work for Boeing as a technical fellow in the engineering department. My focus at Boeing is nonconformance management. And I joined this team effort because the best way to manage nonconformance is to eliminate the creation of them. And this project ensures companies have the right skills at the right time to ensure that the product is built according to engineering specifications. So I will go on and continue talking about some additional factors to be considered. So, you know, it would be great if the everything was static and all you had to, the only issue you had to deal with is attrition of people leaving. These are some additional factors though. For example, production rate changes, increases in production rate will require to bring in new people that need to be trained. Production rate decreases will have an impact on the loss of skills. A new customer introduction will result in new product development, introduction of new technologies, which moves me on to technology monitoring. So fortunately, most technology developments occur over a large number of years. And so with the application of technical readiness assessments, a company can determine when new technologies will be entering into the production system. These technological breakthroughs will often have an impact of moving from manual labor to more automated means. And so the makeup of skills changes from one of manual labor type skills to maintaining the automation, for example, robot maintenance, programming, and that sort of thing. And then a good thing to be aware of is the academic competency monitoring, the colleges and universities that are teaching the new skills. So it's possible to acquire new skills into the company through the acquisition of these skills being taught in the universities. Next slide. So identify some constraints that may have an impact on the future planning of skills that are necessary. Emerging competitors. These are companies such as like SpaceX and Blue Origin. We're not in the space industry until a few years ago. But those companies, when they start up, they draw a large number of resources from existing aerospace companies. So that can be an unintended drain on your resources. There can be economic impacts happening around the world. There could be inflation, recession, travel restrictions, things that might change the economic output of the company. Industry trends, something to take a look at. Long-term air traffic growth, companies or countries opening aerospace to other countries can have an increase in the demand of the product, which would then increase production rates and need of new skills. Looking at the outsourcing policy for the company, is there a long-term trend to move work to third parties outside the company? That types of things. So when you rely on other companies for a skill, that's a skill that you're going to lose. Look at the company's policy for work transfer management, and take a look at the SCMH section 7.1 for more information about that. Federal regulations from our federal regulators. These regulations are put in place in response to events that occur in the industry, negative events usually. These regulations require new skills and additional resources to remain compliant to the new regulations. And then there could be limited time frame required competencies, short-term needs for competencies that would need to be addressed. So at this point, the manager now has the ability to identify the team competencies for a given time frame. Taking all those constraints into account, can now build the future looking plan. So this form filled out is an indication of the resources that are needed in terms of people at certain skill levels for these particular skills. Now it's all mapped out what the future should look like. So with the current state defined and the future state defined, now you can do a gap analysis between the two. And this gap analysis is meant to identify specific risks, such as that the current competencies that are available today do not meet the future needs. There is a gap in those skills. It'll identify projected loss of skills due to attrition with no current succession, no current person in line carrying those skills. And it could be that the skill progression takes multiple years to obtain the relevant expertise needed, and maybe there may not be time to get there, or better yet, you've done the planning such that you do have time to fill that gap. So when do you perform a gap analysis? A couple of options. You can perform it at major phases of a project, the chart that Gail showed earlier, or you could pick a defined interval, annually or biannually or something like that. This activity is something that should be coordinated with human resources, or coordinated effort between human resources and the people who are knowledgeable about the skills that are necessary. So what to do after you've identified all the gaps and risks that you have? The next step is to build an action plan to take care of those issues. And this uses a tried and true method of plan, do, check, act. So plan the actions needed to address the deficiencies, implement those actions, monitor those actions for effectiveness, and then take additional mitigating actions. So here are some example actions that might be needed. So I think for me the most important thing and the most urgent thing to do immediately in a company is capture the knowledge that you have in the company right now before the people leave to retirement, etc. So in any way possible, capture that knowledge. I'll give you one example. Boeing right now today is writing a series of documents called design practices, which captures all of our lessons learned and the key understandings of why we do what we do when we design airplanes. And there's going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of these documents, each written by the experts within our company. And the idea is to capture that for the future. So there's many ways to capture knowledge for reuse for new people coming into the company. It could be creating new training, capturing that knowledge in the form of training that can be provided to new people. It could be provided through on-the-job training, through mentorships, creating job aids. These are documents at the point of production where these aids can help a person acquire the skill necessary to complete the job correctly. It's important to have individual development plans for each individual that's on a trajectory for acquiring a certain skill level over a certain period of time, to have a development plan that the person is acquiring the skills in a systematic time frame. And it could be that your company does not have the capability to create training that is necessary for a particular skill. It could be that you don't have the skill. It could be that that skill has left your company through attrition. But you could seek external training for your employees. You could also hire short-term consultants that have the skill and to take care of that gap. These are just some examples that you could use to address gaps you find. And with that, I think I'm turning it back over to Gail.
So if we need to summarize what we presented, companies should consider putting a competency management process one already. They should consider their future needs and forecast the required competence levels and take into account the needed time to acquire this level. So guidance and tools within the SCMH have been made available, and we invite you to use this tool. Is there any questions?
Yes, thank you, Gail, and thank you, Dave. So there are a couple questions coming in, and for those of you listening in, again, this is Susan Parsons, and I'm just back with you to ask your questions of the panelists, both Dave and Gail. One question that just came in is there any advice on things to consider with regards to European data protection regulations while collecting and documenting information on skills of employees. A little off track, Gail, but since you are may have some experience, you could answer that one, I think.
Yeah, the advice, yes, is to check what is the country law, because you can, it's not necessarily European data protection regulations. You can have a specific country data protection regulation. You need to comply to these regulations. And so, yes, you have to adapt the way to proceed to the rules in your, to the law in your country.
Thank you. The next couple of questions relate to some slides that I have following this, so I'm going to go through that and then come back and look for other questions. If you do have a question, please take advantage of it and put it into the Q&A or the chat box. But let me answer a couple questions for you regarding requests for copy of the slides and where these tools are. So Gail, Dave, I'll be right back to your questions. I'm just going to answer these while others come in. So if you go to the SCMH, which is at IAQG.org or SCMH.org //IAQG, you can find these links. So you'll see the SCMH topics. All the topics are into what we call in the Supply Chain Management Handbook, SCMH. You can click across any of the life cycle buttons. It'll take you to your particular ones. We are working on a project right now that will try to divide some of them by function. So for example, we're looking into one called procurement. You will have a button under this model, and you click on it and it will show you all the locations of topics that relate to your job there in procurement. But for now, they are separated simply by priority. As people ask for topics, we go out and try to find the experts to create the guidance, and then we plot it in this model in the SCMH. So it's not all encompassing, it's as people ask for it. There's a contact us button that will allow you to ask for other guidance. If you look over here to the right, what we're doing here is recording today. We will put that recording right above the SCMH 713, which is competency management. This is just an example where you'll find the core guidance that Gail and Dave mentioned today, along with the toolbox items, such as the checklist that you saw, you know, the templates that we just showed you. They'll be over to the right. And then the webinar recording will be above. We'll also put the slides from today's webinar in the toolbox, so you'll be able to use them internally to show others what this guidance is all about. We're going to have, right now we have the available webinars in Advanced Product Quality Planning, Acceptance Authority Media, Business Continuity Management, and which is a preview to this guidance that we're talking about today, Work Transfer Management as well, all in their applicable topic sections within the SCMH. For the future, after today's webinar, which we will publish within the next week or two, there's also going to be a data science and artificial intelligence webinar on December 7th, followed by applying remote technologies to audits and product acceptance on December 13th. So you can sign up to both of those. If you don't see a newsletter from the IAQG with the links, you can go to the SCMH, and right here under announcements, you will find the various upcoming webinars, and you can click on there to register. It's free, and just join us like you did today. Okay, so that's where they will be recorded. And again, in the contact us button, if you'd like to suggest a topic for either guidance to be created, we'll take that. If you want to suggest that a webinar be held on a particular piece of guidance that's already in the SCMH, we'll take that as we plan our webinars for next year. A good place to start learning about the SCMH and the guidance material and spreading the word, if you will, about the SCMH is the About page. So on the IAQG site, you can go to SCMH. You'll see something called About SCMH. You can search any topic you want. If we have something in the SCMH, it will pop up as an option of you to go and check it out. We are working on our connections. You have to be logged in to make it work efficiently. If you're not logged in, it'll tell you to log in and then do the search again. We apologize for that. We are working on correcting that. So the communication pack is a good place to start. There's an alphabetical listing to show you everything available. We're starting to publish them in other languages like Chinese and Japanese. And you can also see in the what's new, what's recently been published or updated. Okay, and you'll see the contact us button over to the right. That's where you'll work with us to tell us what you're looking for. You can take a survey and tell us what you think about the SCMH. We look forward to every January we meet and discuss what kind of improvements we can make based on the input from the surveys. But let me go back now to the questions and see what else has come in if I haven't answered already some of the questions. Okay, we have one here. From the customer point of view, what is a better way of assessing suppliers' competencies levels as changes are happening more frequently? Gail?
So from customer point of view, yes.
Yeah. Would you like me to repeat it?
Dave, do you want to answer?
It's a good question. I think the guidance that the team has created here with the matrices of skills, from a customer's point of view, one of the perspectives of this project was a customer could suggest or request a supplier company to manage their competencies in this way, use the tools that are provided here. And so the customer company could provide oversight of the supplier's competency management in that way. I think that's the recommendation from the team.
Thank you. How do we make sure necessary people get the necessary captured knowledge? Do we just suppose to match title of new hires and experienced personnel titles? Do we need to match required role matrices? I believe it is important for right people to get right information. And we appreciate your recommendations. Think more of a statement, but upfront asking about how they would go forward and capture that knowledge and with the right people.
Yeah, this is Dave. I would just say that the original guidance material that was published for competency management was all about documenting the necessary skills for a certain job title. So you find it, you have a job title and a job description, a company, then you list all of the skills for that. So once you've identified that, then it's matching people with the same job title, someone with experience in that job title with someone with less experience, and that competency checklist of skills can become sort of an on-the-job training guide to ensure that that person is acquiring the skills. That's one method.
Next question, I'm not sure that we can answer, but I will ask it. It's, are there any software on the market that can support such an approach? And I mean that is, to be fair, you can't just point to one software approach, but
I'm not able to answer to these questions. I do not know any software which could provide the list of competencies for a role.
and hence the reason we provide the guidance with these templates that are free and you can download it and put them in place within your companies. Okay. All right. Oh, that was another one. Could be useful to highlight or to report if the person is qualified or certified. So an enhancement to what you're sharing today could be, to this person's point or a question to you, would you be able to put qualifications or certifications? Do you think that's a needed thing?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. If for a role you need a certifications, yes, you can add a level certified or not. And so you are able to identify who in your team is certified for such a task.
Thank you. Someone just asked again where we can download it. I will go live to the SCMH and show you specifically, but that's what I was showing you before about the going to the SCMH into the topics. 713 is where you'll find it, or you can search the word and it'll open up the documents. And they've asked me to share a quick link, so I will of course do that in a few minutes. How to establish benchmarking techniques for competency.
So you have several possibilities. In the SCMH 7.13.2, we suggest to develop a survey and to interview people. There is another possibility is to assess the open positions in several companies and to check what are the competence required for such positions. The other way is to go directly from one company to the other and to ask them if they want to participate to the benchmark with you. Other questions?
Yes, I'm going back and forth between SCMH questions and about this particular topic. So they may go back and forth and jump a little, but here's one for me, I believe. Is there data on how many companies are implementing SCMH guidelines? Well, we can never know what people are implementing per se, but we know that there are many people that share the guidance. As of now, we have over 11,000 registered SCMH users, meaning they go in and actively download guidance to, I assume, learn from or share within their companies or utilize the templates. APQP is a very hot topic, and quite a bit of guidance is downloaded on that and work transfer. So it is getting, the word is getting out and people are using it. And like I said, it is free, so that helps. Here's one, goes back towards you guys. If I want to assess an employee, what is a best practice to say he/she is a level 1, 2, 3, 4, or even 5? What is an objective method?
You need to identify the criteria that you give behind behind the levels. We had an example for which an operator had to pass an exam in order to be able to reach the relevant level. But it's up to each company to decide how they what they associate behind each level. The guidance, so if you go back to the slide with the guidance, Sue, you will have what is behind.
Here.
It's the progressive levels chart, I think.
Yes, from the previous one, from 1 to again. Yes, this one. So for basic, here we have employee has a basic knowledge and isn't autonomous on topics. Capable, limited knowledge, sufficient experience to deal with recurrent activity and daily task and needs a regular follow-up. Proficient, good knowledge in all aspects of the subject, has enough experience to deal with unforeseen issues. specialist, high level of knowledge in all aspects of the subject, wide proven experience of the subject, is able to propose appropriate solutions and to take decisions in own perimeters. An expert, extensive knowledge of the subject, both internal to the company and external, demonstrates his or her ability to train other colleagues and to release complex or critical situations within the field of competence. So you have this example, and in the guidance 7.13.2, you have more informations in the figure 4.
Thank you. Other than customer-specific requirements, are there country-specific regulation requirements to be considered in the competency management?
So I don't know that there's specific regulatory requirements around competency management. I was going to ask Sue. I just wanted to say we did show it as a constraint or an impact to skills with respect to making sure you're compliant with regulations across aerospace manufacturing. Sue, are you aware of any other regulatory requirements related to competency management?
I mean,
Sue?
You're asking
Or
me,
Gail?
Sue? Or Gail?
Yes. Or
Yeah,
Gail,
maybe for
either.
Gail.
No, I do not have any visions of what are.
It's more tied, Gail, I think what you said up front was to the standard. So if a company flows down the requirements, which is acknowledged in this question, then it might point to 9100, require you to be 9100. This is where we're supporting 9100 by providing guidance for competency. It's just not, it's unlike, human factors might show the dirty dozen or different topics there. It's guidance. It wants you to be aware of it, more like that.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. The turtle SIPOX for each process helps us identify the requirements. Oh, you're welcome. Is there not a requirement to log who is conducting the assessment? On the spreadsheet shown, there is nowhere I can see to log this, or is this supplementary to any OJT form? So you can take these templates and add what you will. I mean, we're saying, here's the base. If you want to add your logo, if you want to add who's filling it out, if you want to add an extra question, please do that. This is the base. This is what we've agreed to as good industry guidance on this. And we're sharing a form that gets you started. You might have an Access database or a major Excel spreadsheet. We're just saying, here's what to think and here's what to consider as you build yours. Did you want to add anything to that, Dave or Gail?
No, you're right.
Okay.
We give a template, an examples, but it is an examples. It can be performed differently.
So they're asking if there's a requirement to log who is conducting the assessment on the spreadsheet. Okay. How do you visualize a successful implementation of a robust program like this in a small organization, less than say 20, without costing tons of time?
For a small company with less than 20 persons, it depends if you have same roles within several persons. If you have only one unique person for each role, you are able to manage it without getting the team overview.
Just looking now to see if there's any others. Otherwise, I'm going to go and check out the SCMH. Oh, we have in the question box quite a couple more. Just a statement from someone. ISO 10015 quality management guidelines for competence management and people development can be linked with this competency management. Something we will look at and see if there's a reference to be made or improvements to the document. I'm not sure, Dave, Gail, was that under consideration when we built the guidance? I feel like I recall the number being talked about. I just can't remember off the top of my head right now.
Could you repeat?
Sure. ISO 10015 quality management guidelines for competence management and people development can be linked with this competency management. So can it be linked with this? And I think the answer was yes, but I wasn't going to say yes.
Yeah, I want to say it does make sense to link them. I don't recall a specific conversation about reviewing those personally.
All right.
But the subject matter seems to be linked well.
Yeah.
So, other than, oh, go ahead.
No.
Okay. Other than the customer specific requirements, the country specific regulatory requirements are considered. Oh, we answered that in the chat box. Just might be repeating one from the Q&A box in here. How do you visualize a successful implementation of a robust program like this in a small company under 20? We did that. And I think we answered this one. How do we make sure necessary people get the necessary captured knowledge? Do we just, yeah, we answered that about matching. Will the presentation be available to download after the session? Yes, we're going to publish the recording from today's session and we're going to publish the presentation slides under 713. Okay, and now I'm going to quickly show you just by clicking on this link, just because it's right there for me. SCMH.IAQG.org will take you there, or you can go to IAQG.org, which will take you there as well. So if you were here, this is the SCMH website. If I was on the IAQG website, I can hit SCMH, or I can go to IAQG tools, go down to SCMH. Okay. Once you're in the SCMH, you can access. Here, any of these are hot links: plan and manage, develop, and so on. If you're new to the SCMH, you can register right there. If you want to learn about the SCMH, here's the SCMH alphabetical listing of topics. Follow that. They'll take you right to any of those topics. If you want to go and see the new S format and how the content is laid out, you can see this recording. I won't do that because I'm speaking on that one and it'll turn onto a video for you, but you can use that. We also have now something new just added. In August, we added a 9100 mapping to the SCMH. So if there's terms within the 9100 document, you can now see what kind of applicable guidance we might share for that particular paragraph within 9100. We're going to build on that and we're going to add more to it, connect you back to AIM. You heard Gail talk a little bit about the AIM tool. It helps you with an assessment of your program to see where you have some gaps. And then if you have some gaps with meeting 9100, it'll point to certain guidance within the SCMH to help you improve that. And of course, the guidance within AIM itself. We have the communication pack, which is a deck of slides that talks about the SCMH and all about it. It tells you how it was built, the background, the reason for it, and shares the layout and why it's built the way it is. We've translated that into Japanese and Chinese as of now, and we're looking to translate it into other languages as well. The announcement page is where you can ask, you can see the webinars whenever we have some. You can read more and click on them to join our next two. Like I said, it's a data science and artificial intelligence on December 7th. and December 13 is applying remote technologies. We also have a new one that the word hasn't gotten out quite yet, but we're spreading it. You can ask the authors of the 9145 APQP standard questions, and as they come in to me through the Contact Us button or this link, we will ask them of the writing team, and then we will publish them here so you are able to see your question and see the response to it, and we'll be sharing that with others. Okay, so if I take you now to the SCMH topics, plan and manage is where 713 is, right here, competency management. Right above here is where the webinar recording will go. We'll put the webinar presentation right here. But as you can see, we have 3 documents. We have an overview, the guidelines themselves, and then a template that you can use. So it's a spreadsheet. It's an Excel spreadsheet that has a couple tabs that you can go to and click on. Easy enough to download. Like I said, sometimes if you're going to this live for the first time and you're not logged in, you'll click on this. It might say, register. So you have to go back in, but we are looking at getting a single source sign on shortly. We're hoping to have that out there for everybody early next year. And then the contact us information, you click on this and it comes right to me, and you can ask any question you want, support, tell me what you're looking for. I will try to get it to the right person or answer your questions. Okay, so I hope that helps and answers some questions about the SCMH and where to find the guidance. Is there anything you would like to add to this, Dave or Gail? Gail,
I'll add something real quick, and then Gail can wrap up. I just wanted to tell you about an example of skill attrition. I personally have a good example of skill attrition. Today is actually my last day with the Boeing company. I'll be retiring, and so the company is looking to replace my skills. So it's very topical.
I believe this is what your last official act working for the Boeing company, I think.
Yes, this is after this meeting. I'm pretty much handing my computer over and walking out the door. So,
well, thank you, Dave, for all your support.
Thank you, Dave. Yes. And so, yes, there is one key point that is to consider the maturity and the level of the competence, because as customer, I want to be sure that the competence are masters, and that there is not necessarily systematic newcomers who has the competence but who do not master the topic. So I hope that the guidance will help you in your competency management. And if you have any question, do not hesitate to send questions in the SCMH page.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Dave, and all of you for attending today. We look forward to seeing you again online and future webinars.